What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 86 of Week in Review. My name is Sean, and on this week's show, we're talking about the first entry in the Dark Pictures Chronicles Man of Medan, a limited edition Mountain Dew, and we'll look forward to this week's new releases. First up on this week's show is the Dark Pictures Anthology's first entry, Man of Medan, and this is another kind of departure from what I normally watch or normally play in the horror genre, which, because I don't watch or play them, I get or they don't get reviewed here on Week in Review. If this sounds a little bit familiar, it is kind of a Ready or Not situation. So what exactly was it about the Dark Pictures Anthology's Man of Medan that caught my attention? Well, it's actually the developer Supermassive Games. They released a game a couple years ago called Until Dawn that seemed like a home run. A lot of people really loved it, but I definitely missed out on that like zeitgeist moment of where everyone was playing it and everyone was talking about it. It was always a game that I wanted to go back to, and I even bought it and never played it. Like, stop me if you've heard that before on this show. But people's enthusiasm for this put it in my brain to be like, okay, pay attention to what Supermassive does next, or maybe an Until Dawn 2, which would be a good reason to go back and play Until Dawn. Until Dawn was like a teen slasher horror-based game that focused on linear gameplay, quick time events where you have to hit a button in a certain amount of time, that was story-focused and featured dialogue decisions between the characters. Oh, and there was one big other part, it's called permadeath. If someone died in that game, they're not coming back. And I like that style of game. I like the super linear, story-focused game. I like the idea of permadeath where, like, if I fuck up, like, they're gone, that's it. And I missed the ball on it. So I made sure to pay attention and go, okay, next time they release a game, I'm on it day one. Enter Man of Medan. This is such a pleasant surprise. I had so much fun with this game. It's super simple. It's a story of a group of people trying to get off a boat, and they have to run away from people trying to kill them, but the killers have something that they need that's integral to them actually getting off the boat. The plot never really gets deeper than that, and it doesn't really need to. I don't necessarily need backstory on all the villains. I don't really care where they come from. I know that I need to run from them, and I need to try not to fuck it up for all these people so that they can make it out alive. I was only about 60% successful on the survival rate there. There are a lot of little things with this game that I really enjoyed. I liked the characters. I wasn't really attached to any of them all that much, so when they died, it wasn't a big deal, but I still liked them enough to when they did die, I was like, oh, shit. Including one of the characters who died at the most inconvenient time, where he had let slip a little bit of information that was like a tantalizing twist on things, where he says it, and I'm like, oh, we're going to follow up on this, and it might not be quite what I think it is, and then I missed a quick time event, and he slipped off a ladder and died, and I was like, well, that feels like I missed a big piece of information. And that's what's so cool about this game, is if a character dies, you're going to miss out on information, and depending on when they die, you're going to miss out on like entire chapters of the game, and that adds to a level of replayability that is actually quite surprising. Like, I want to go back and play it right away and try and improve on my decisions earlier in the game to see if I can get different outcomes, if I can see different chapters that I haven't seen before, or different character combinations in different chapters, and all that's very enticing to me. I went into this game going like, man, I really hope that I like this game, and then walked out going like, I might actually want to try and perfect the achievement list with it because I enjoyed it that much. There are so many different ways that you can complete the game. You can complete the game with all 5 characters surviving. You can complete the game with no one surviving, and anything in between. And I think that's really awesome. On top of that, not only do I want to replay the game, but they have a bunch of different modes where you can do that. So you have the single player story mode, which is what I streamed on twitch.tv/SeanSourceRex. Nice plug. But then you have the online shared story mode, which is a 2-player mode. And then you have a 2 to 5 player movie night mode that you rotate the controller between like you and 4 friends, and they each pick a character that they want to play and see through the completion of this game. That's really cool, and it's really great that they have so many different ways to play to encourage you to not just replay the story by yourself, but invite other people into the experience. I think the length of the game is actually a huge plus to it. It took me about 4 hours and 15 minutes to complete the game, but I'm sure that gets a little bit longer, up to the 5-hour mark, if you don't lose 2 of your characters at the midpoint and at the end. And I didn't mention this, but I should have, but the other character that I lost, the first character that I lost, I'm not super sure how that happened. The other one, like, clearly was my fault. Missed a button press, fall off a ladder. The other one I thought was kind of going in one direction that was kind of going in more towards like a psychological horror sort of thing, where I was like, I don't think this whole sequence is real, the way it works where it keeps going through the same door, but like there's a different item in a certain spot or a different thing in a certain spot. And I was like, okay, well, I don't think this is going to really stick. And then it ended up sticking, and I was like, oh boy, like that that kind of sucks. I didn't see it coming, and I didn't think it was clear, and I was a little lost. And it wasn't until later in the game where I was like, I think I lost that character, because it's been several chapters since I've seen them. And then they like come across the body later. I'm like, oh yeah, I did. They absolutely died, but I'm not really exactly sure what that was. Anyway, back to what was my original point, which was the length and pacing of the game. I thought it was paced really well. Nothing ever felt like super cheap. I liked that you always had a clear idea of what your goal was. Your goal was to get a certain object from a character. That's what you need to do. There are like minor side tracks here or there where like you'll go, one point you find a radio receiver and you need to turn the power on. And that to me made logical sense, because as you move around on the boat, you might just kind of stumble on something, but there might be an additional problem with it. I understood the logic of where they were going with it. I also understood kind of what they were hinting at with their overall story, where it was kind of surprising because there's like a very early tutorial section that lasts like 20 to 25 minutes maybe, and it doesn't really seem to have a whole lot to do with the rest of the plot of the game, but then it kind of starts to click into place. And I thought the clues were laid out nicely enough to where I was like, I was putting the pieces together, and I was like, man, I'm having a lot of fun putting these pieces together and going like, oh, okay, this means this, or I'm looking at this particular phrase through the wrong lens, and if I just move it to a different way, I see why there's this misunderstanding, and like we're just kind of screwed from the get-go. I really enjoyed how the game was laid out, and how things that didn't seem like they were going to really matter at the beginning really start to fill in blanks at the end, and how they kind of cross over and it all cohesively makes sense. And even the one part of the game that I wasn't super huge on, which is the curator. He shows up pretty early after the tutorial section, and he talks directly to you, like breaking the fourth wall. Like he is sitting at a desk with a like kind of a blank book in front of him that would have theoretically like a story outline, and it'll kind of like fill in your choices about what's going to happen. And like the game is literally telling you a story. And what I didn't like about it was how like over the top, like obvious it was, where he's telling you, hey, this is a story, and we're going to tell this story, and you need to make sure to pay attention to your decisions, and maybe not everyone will make it out alive. And I was like, man, this is really on the nose and feels distracting and out of place and kind of annoying, because I know what kind of game this is. I understand why it's there. It's there for like the average Joe who goes into a store and is like, hey, I've heard good things about this game, I'm going to pick it up. They may not understand that sort of thing. But as the game progresses, you go back to the curator a couple of different times, and the way he breaks the fourth wall becomes more interesting, because he's a little like kind of antagonistic and sometimes even a little condescending of like, hey, hey, good job, you got everybody through. What if you replay it and maybe things go worse? And I'm like, oh, okay, this is a little more interesting. And then another large chunk of the game went by, and I went back to him after I lost the two people, and he goes, well, guess that went pretty okay. I mean, it could have gone worse. You could have lost more people, but I guess you did all right. And that point where it starts to take on like a personality of its own, and where he's being that like antagonistic and kind of condescending, was like, I really like this. I'm really digging this curator thing. I just think it shows how much I like this game, that even the one thing I was like, man, I don't really know about this, I ended up really enjoying by the end of it. I had such a fantastic time playing this game. I thought the jump scares were really good. It got me a number of times, and there were 2 or 3 times where you would like pull a curtain back or open something, and the game gave you enough time to have the thought of, man, I thought this was going to be a lot like scarier than it is. And right as you finish that thought, it would drop something or get something right in your face and pop something in your ears. I had such a fun time playing this game, and I thought it was such an engaging and enjoyable experience, and such a pleasant surprise that I'm going to actually go back and play Until Dawn in October, and I can't wait for the next entry, and I highly recommend you check out Man of Medan. Playing video games all day sure does make me thirsty. Thankfully, Mountain Dew is here with a limited edition VooDew Mystery Flavor, and this is like my favorite type of story to tell on this show. Is I was playing Wreckfest in the morning on Saturday morning, and I had something that I needed to do, and I didn't eat all day, so I was riding with my mom to the event, and I was like, man, I'm really hungry. Can we stop somewhere? Like, there's only like one option. It's like a fast food joint that's connected to a gas station. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, this works out perfectly because I'll run in, I'll go grab like a burger or whatever. And then because they serve Coke products, I want Mountain Dew. I'll run over into the gas station, grab a Mountain Dew, and I'll be all set. Like, wipe my hands clean. We're good to go, ready to roll. Little did I know there was going to be a wonderful surprise awaiting me when I walked over to the soda section as I looked around, and there's like just the stuff everywhere. And it was, let me grab it because I put it in a weird spot. It was this. Look at this. It's a Halloween limited edition VooDew. I appreciate the branding there, that they spelled it VooDew, like VooDew. And it's a mystery flavor. I haven't read the label on this. I haven't read anything about this. I didn't even know this existed, which is why this is my favorite type of story to tell on this show. Is like, I ran into a random gas station and walked out with content. that's really awesome. It's this white, like, kind of airhead feeling liquid. Like, feeling's the wrong word. I get the feeling, it calls back into my memories of the mystery white airhead flavor. So we're going to try this out. Something about this yellow moon makes me think it's going to be kind of lemony, but that seems kind of stupid. Unless it tastes like pumpkin. I don't know why. I see a lemon in there. Look at that. I know it's supposed to be like the moon or whatever, but a lemon. So let's crack it open and see what we have here. I'm making sure not to look at the ingredients label. I don't want that to give anything away. They've changed these lids, and they're not as solid as they used to be, and for whatever reason it makes it spray more. So Mountain Dew is now a lot messier than it used to be. Let's start with a nice smell. It smells, oh, what is it? It's right there, the tip of my tongue. It smells candy-y. It smells, is it, oh god, what is it? It's like, it's like right on the tip of my tongue. Oh, what is that scent? It's, oh, what is it? It smells like kind of like, maybe like Skittly, like very sugary candy sort of thing. There's something more specific, but I can't pin what it is. Alright, let's try it. What? What is that flavor? What in the... I think it just tastes like candy. Like, it tastes like a handful of like Skittles. Like a fruity or berry-y candy collection. It doesn't have like a specific, like, it's not like a berry or a cherry or an apple or an orange, like anything like that, or lemon, like I guessed. But it doesn't feel like it has a very distinct flavor. Like, is it candy corn? That'd be weird. I'd be like way into that because I like candy corn. What the hell is that flavor? I'm not getting what it is specifically. I'm having trouble dissecting what it is. It tastes like Skittles. Like, it tastes like that. Okay, let's see if we can read the label and see if that gives us any sort of hint. Nope, no it doesn't. It's just probably gum. Oh, that's a full word. Okay, never mind. This isn't helping. I mean, honestly, like, we're here to help. There's nothing, not really any sort of hint. It just tastes like Skittles. I don't know what this is. Upon looking at this label a little more closely, I like that it looks like it's a question mark. Around the VooDew looks like a question mark, which I think is pretty cool. Here's the thing about this Mountain Dew. I don't know what the flavor is. It's not bad. It's actually good. It tastes just like a handful of Skittles, which is fine. It has a very strong flavor. Like, some of the Mountain Dews that I've tried in the past don't have enough flavor or don't mesh well with the original Mountain Dewness that exists already. This actually like tastes pretty good. If you like that idea. So yeah, go try it. Go try it and tell me down in the comments below what you think this is, because I can't figure it out. It smells like Skittles. It's not like a grape. Man, I'm really focused on it. Mystery flavor. They know how to get me. Mystery flavor. Is it grape? It's not pumpkin. Finally, on this week's show, we'll look forward to the week's new releases. There are 2 movies out in theaters, The Goldfinch and Brittany Runs a Marathon. I know I mentioned Brittany Runs a Marathon, I think it was 3 weeks ago or so, but it did that weird split thing where it was like coming out August 19th or 26th or whatever the heck the date was, and then that was a limited release, but they didn't clarify that enough, so I was like, oh, it's coming out this week, and then like 3 days after that happened where like it came on, it's like, Brittany Runs a Marathon will be in theaters everywhere on September 13th. And I was like, well, shit, that kind of sucks. So I figured I'd mention it again. I'm looking forward to seeing the movie. As far as games are concerned this week, we have Gears 5 coming out. That's the regular edition included in regular edition Game Pass, as opposed to the Ultimate Edition that came out in Ultimate Edition Game Pass last Friday. I think they need to do a little bit better job of making that a little bit clearer exactly what goes where, but that's a point for a later date. And then Borderlands 3 hits on Friday. Borderlands 3 is kind of a weird game. I liked the first one. I ended up platinuming it on the PlayStation 3. I played less of the second one and then even less of the pre-sequel. And then when they announced the Game of the Year edition, the remaster for the first Borderlands, I went through and I played a bit of it, but it was like kind of like, I enjoyed what it was, but I wasn't necessarily feeling that type of game. I think I played 2 parts of it on stream. And Borderlands 3 feels like a game that if I don't get on it opening weekend, I'm not going to get to it ever. And because I'm going to be out of town, I don't see where this game exactly is going to fit into my schedule, because over the next couple of weeks, there are going to be a couple of really big games coming out that speak to me more. And there was a game that released, kind of stealth released last week in the new Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborhoodville. It's one of those 2 names. And they announced an October 18th worldwide launch date, but you can join the Founders Pack for 25% off, so I think that's pretty cool. I just wanted to mention that because I'm really excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't dove in just yet. Got a little caught up with the mascot tournament, but it's out there, and I wanted to give it a special shout out on the show. And finally, I've saved the Blu-ray for last because this is the most like Sean-focused Blu-ray week I think I've ever had on this show. So let's start with, it's a mountain of Blu-rays that are coming out this week. First up is the Cornetto trilogy, which consists of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End, all getting combined into one pack on 4K Ultra HD, which I'm very excited about. We also have 1992 and 2019's Aladdin on 4K Blu-ray, regular Blu-ray, all the bits and bobs, all you could ever want are out this week as well. So that's one movie from my childhood, another movie that I really liked but kind of got buried by Booksmart, and then a whole trilogy of movies that I love dearly. On top of all of that, Pixar and Disney are releasing or re-releasing a bunch of their older movies on the 4K format and repackaging some of them. Highlights include stuff like Inside Out, Ratatouille, Brave. The first couple of Cars movies are getting 4K releases. And unfortunately, movies that I dearly love, Monsters, Inc. and the overlooked Monsters University, are just getting Blu-ray like repackage re-releases. Like it just looks a little bit different, and not the 4K versions, which really sucks because the steelbooks that they have out for the 4K versions are all they all fit in the same theme, and they all look really good together, and I would love to have those 2 movies because I love them dearly. So a lot of movies that I really enjoy are out on Blu-ray this week. And if that wasn't enough, there's actually a Napoleon Dynamite comic book coming out on this Wednesday. I don't know. They announced it back in May that there's a 4-issue miniseries Napoleon Dynamite comic book that's going to take place after the movie, coming out sometime in September. It is impossible to find information for this comic book. I keep looking for it, and I just can't find any of the information, but I pre-ordered a couple of copies of it. Yes, a couple, because they have cover variant A and cover variant B. I probably should have ordered a third one so that I never had to open those 2, and I could have saved them and left them in mint condition, but it's too late now. And I think it's supposed to come out this week. Again, I can't find much information. I hope it's out on Wednesday, but it could be pushed because I can't even find it on the IDW site, which is the publishing company that's putting it out. Like they don't have enough information themselves. So hopefully there's a Napoleon Dynamite comic book out this week. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Week in Review. If you like the content, you can scroll on down. I got a little bit ahead of my hand movements, and you can hit that subscribe button. You can scroll on down a little bit more and leave me a comment. And you can let me know what you thought of Man of Medan, or you can tell me what you think of the limited edition VooDew Mountain Dew. And you can tell me what flavor you think it is, or if you're going to pick up any of the 47 movies I listed coming out on Blu-ray this week. I would tell you to go check out the streams over on twitch.tv/HonosaurusRex, but there aren't any this week. But you can go over there anyway and hit that follow button, and you'll be notified when I go live when I get back. And be sure to check back every single Tuesday for more Week in Review right here. We'll see you next week from a different state.